Hey guys, Mr. Decker here once again, and this time we're back in the Express curriculum on code.org. We're looking at lesson 27, for loops with B. Let's go ahead and get started here. It says in the instructions panel, collect the nectar from each flower using the fewest blocks possible. So let's go ahead and knock this out. Okay. So we already have our win run block, and as always, that takes up one of our 5 blocks already. Let's see. So we know we're going to use a repeat loop. So let's go ahead and throw that in here. And it needs to move 5 spaces, so we'll throw a 5 in here. And before he does anything, he needs to move forward, and then he's going to get nectar from these flowers. And that should be the code. And it was. All right, let's move on to puzzle 2. All right, on puzzle 2, this looks similar except, and we are just moving 5 spaces, but every time we move, it's going to increase the number of nectars we need to grab from that flower. So let's see, set counter to. All right, so write the code to help the bee collect all the nectar. You will need lots of blocks for this challenge, but we'll learn an easier way in the next puzzle. So let's see, math. Let's set the counter to 1 at the start of the program because he only needs to collect 1 from here. We're going to repeat 5 times because he's got to move 5 times. So we'll put a 5 right here. And then repeat counter times, get nectar, change counter by, it's going to have to increase by 1 each time. So really on this one, we're just doing a little bit of math, but we're just counting by 1. So it's pretty easy. Uh-oh. What did we do wrong here? The flower we're on has no more nectar. So let's see. Set counter to 1, repeat 5, move forward, repeat counter times. Oh, whoops. I put 5 here instead of 1. Dope. All right, reset run. There we go. Hey. All right. Let's move on to bubble 3. Ooh, look at this. Okay, here is a new way to write the same code. This code uses a for loop. Look closely and see if you can figure out how it is similar or different to the code you wrote before. You can even swap out the new code below you can even swap out the new code below or the old code. It works the same way. Okay. Huh. So if I run it right now without making any changes, count with counter from 1 to 5 by 1. That makes sense. Replay. And then this is the old code that we just used. So let's look at this. Count with counter from 1 to 5 by 1. Okay, so we're counting to 5 each loop. It moves forward, then increases by 1, still counting to 5, and it will stop at 5 because we told it to count to 5. Okay, repeat counter times here. Okay, that makes sense. I'm going to run it one more time. All right, 4 loops. Okay, continue. We'll continue from here for the sake of the video. All right, so now we're on bubble 5. And at bubble 5, we have some answer choices. So let's take a look at this. The use of for loops makes this puzzle a lot easier. Read the code below. What will happen when you click run? So on this one, so I already see the error here. It's only counting up to 4 instead of counting up to 5, and we needed it to count to 5. So when we click run, what are our answer options? The bee will move forward and collect all of the nectar? No. The bee will move forward and collect all of the nectar from every flower except 1. Yes. Right. It's going to miss this last one because it's only 4 right here. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's move on to bubble 6. All right. Help the bee collect all of the nectar. So we're going to count all the way to 7 on this one. So let's go ahead and grab this for loop. Count with counter from 1 to 7 by 1. Okay, and then inside that it's pretty straightforward. We need him to move forward each loop. And then we're going to repeat, whoops. We're going to repeat counter times. Whoop, come on now. Let me grab that. Math. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I see it. I see it now. Whoop, let's throw you away. Loops, repeat counter times. So that's the name of our variable up here. And then in here, we need him to get the nectar. Really simplifies the code with this. The noises, man, the noises. All right. Bubble 7, you can also use a for loop to count down. Try gathering this nectar by counting down from 5 to 1 by 1. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I see. So we start with 5, end with 1 this time. So we'll do the same thing. Count with counter from 5 to 1 by 1. And then the code's going to be similar. Move forward, and then we'll get nectar inside that repeat counter. Well, keep clicking on the wrong drawers, man. All right, so this should work. Oh yeah, all right. Let's go to bubble 8, and on 8, we're looking at, ooh, we're counting by 2s this time. Okay, so the last number in your for loop is called the increment. Each time the loop is run, the counter variable changes by the value of the increment. Try collecting these flowers by using an increment of 2, of course. All right, so let's go ahead and grab that counter loop. And it's going to be set up, we're ending at 7, but we're counting by 2. So the increment will be 2 here. So that once it does this one, it adds 2, collects 3, adds 2, collects 5, adds 2, collects 7. And our actions, we need to move forward. We need to add another repeat counter, and then inside that, the action is going to be to get nectar. So the main thing that we're changing on these, because the bubbles have been very similar so far, is just how we're counting. All right, let's continue. More of a challenge. So we're going to have to zig and zag a little bit with this one, moving right and moving left over and over again. So, but to start, we're still going to need that counter for loop. We're going to be counting from 3 to 15. And that means that we're going to be working in increments of 3. And we've got to throw some actions in here because the bee needs to move forward, then turn right. And then he needs to move forward and turn left. And then he's ready to move, repeat counter. And we're going to get nectar there. That should work. Yeah, all right, so far so good. Increments of 3. I'm gonna collect all that nectar, take it back to the hive will be happy, all the babies will be fed. All right, if your loop is counting down, the increment is subtracted from your counter variable each time through. What should your increment be to collect 15, then 12, then 9, then 6, then 3 nectar? So we're subtracting by 3 this time instead of adding. So this one's going to be basically the same thing, except our counter is going to subtract instead of add. So loops, grab this guy. We start at 15. So the first number in the range, the last number in the range is 3, and we're doing increments of 3. So let's see, loops. We will need another one, but first we need some actions. He needs to move forward, same as the last one. He's going to turn right, move forward, and then turn left. So we'll build that. Next thing is to grab the repeat counter, and we're going to get nectar every time it repeats there. Run. Oh, uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Ooh, okay, I see. The order that I did this in is messed up. So instead of moving forward, turning right, moving forward, he needs to turn. Reset him. Okay, he needs to turn left. I wasn't paying attention to the way the bee was facing, and then he needs to move forward. And then he'll need to turn right and then move forward again. Run. Yeah, there we go. Now it should work. All right, let's move on to puzzle 10. Or sorry, puzzle 11. We just did puzzle 10. Ooh, okay, we've got gaps. All right, how to do this one. We'll start with a counter or a for loop. We're going to count up to 3, starting with 1 here to 3 at the end, and we're counting by 1. How can we do this? So if it's 1 at the beginning, I could... Yeah, okay. Repeat. He needs to move forward in this one, and then we'll do another repeat here, and he needs to get nectar in that one. And because this is counting up by 1 every time, he'll move forward twice here and then 3 times here. Woohoo! So just like being able to tie that value in the for loop to the number of times he gets nectar, you can also tie that to the distance he's traveling. Okay, they just get more and more complex, don't they? Now let's combine the counter variable with a math block. How can you use the counter variable to navigate this garden with the fewest number of blocks possible? Solid question. Let's start with one of these, and then we're going from 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 to 15. So we're counting by 3 on our increment. Wait, no, hang on. There's a better way to do this. Okay, so we're going to set it right there, and then in our actions, we need to turn left before we do anything, because he's facing this way. We need him to face that flower with 3 nectars. We need a repeat counter times, and he's going to move forward inside this one, and then we're going to do some math. It asks us to do some math, so let's do some math. All right, so we have blank plus, okay, loops. Let's see. Let's grab this. We're going to chunk this in the trash, and then we'll grab this guy here. And we're going to use the counter, and we're going to add 3 and get our increment done here. And then he needs to get nectar inside of that. Uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Oh, I have a plus here. That needs to be a different math operator. Probably multiply, because we're multiplying 1. Yeah, okay, that guy. Took me a second, but we got there. Some of these puzzles are puzzling. All right. Became a dad 22 months ago, and you know, the dad jokes, we're working on those. We're working on the dad jokes. All right, challenge, take what you've learned about for loops and try to solve this problem. Remember, you may have to run through solutions multiple times before you figure out all the steps. Maybe. All right, so let's start with what we've always started with. a for loop. We'll start with 14 and go down to 2, so let's fix that. And we're counting in increments of 4, 4, 4. Okay. All right, so let's keep that. And then the first thing he needs to do is turn right, because he's facing this way. We need him to face down towards the 14 flower down there. I know I'm going to need a repeat counter to get nectar, so I'll go ahead and throw that in. But that's not going to do it by itself, because if I run it right now, he's not moving anywhere yet, right? It's the movement that I'm concerned about, because he moves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1. So we're subtracting by 2 each time. But if we start with 14 on the counter, and that's the value to start, then I need to divide by 2 to get 7. It's minus 4, which is 10, and then divide by 2 again, you get. I figured it out, y'all. Okay. So we're going to go back into loops. I'm going to grab this repeat times. It needs to be up here because it's movement. We're going to go to math, grab this guy. We're going to go. Oh, we need to grab the variable. And we're going to divide, and we're going to divide by 2, and that's going to be movement, so we're going to move forward inside that. Let's see. I'm not entirely sure this will work, but I'm pretty sure it will. So far, so good. Moment of truth is next. Stop right there. Yes! All right, it's going to work. Okay. So wheat. All right. All right, that's it from me. If you want to do those bonus levels, have at it. I am done for now with this video. I hope you guys had as good a time as I did in solving all these puzzles. This one went faster and a little bit easier than I thought it would. For loops aren't so bad. Got to do a little bit of math.